This week, GAMA's second quarter figures suggest the start of a GA economic recovery. The Coast Guard declares Carolina's Grand Strand a danger zone for lasers, and it's official, Gamera II sets a new record for human-powered helicopter flight. I'm Ashley Hale. Welcome to the Tuesday bi-weekly edition of Airborne here on Aero-TV. GAMA has released the results of the first 6 months of general aviation industry shipments and billings, and the figures are good. Good enough to possibly foresee the beginning of an economic recovery for the GA industry. Airplane shipments increased 5.9% in the first 6 months of 2012 compared to 2011, while the accompanying value of the airplane deliveries rose 13.2%. Only sales of piston singles showed a slight decline. GAMA's president and CEO Pete Bunce said, quote, "We are starting to see positive signs in the 2012 shipment data, when coupled with the positive trend we are seeing in the used market. We may finally be witnessing the start of our recovery. However, significant impediments remain in our members' companies' ability to bring new, innovative, and safety-enhancing products to our customers. While we have seen positive steps by FAA's leadership to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the certification process, much work remains to be done to take full advantage of the opportunities offered by improving and emerging markets," end quote. Business jet deliveries increased 13.1% to 294 airplanes in the first half of 2012, compared to the same period last year. Turboprop airplane deliveries also improved to 243 units from the 2011 shipment level of 220 units. The piston engine airplane segment was basically flat at 381 deliveries, or a 1.6% decline compared to the first 6 months of 2011. GAMA's third quarter general aviation shipment report is scheduled to be published on November 6, 2012. A green laser directed at a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter temporarily blinded the aircrew and forced them to land abruptly Wednesday morning, while attempting to search for the source of 3 orange flares spotted near Garden City Beach, South Carolina. This is the third time in 3 weeks a Coast Guard search has been hindered due to green lasers in the Grand Strand, the beach region from Little River, South Carolina to Georgetown, South Carolina. Commander Gregory Fuller, commanding officer at Air Station Savannah, which provides Coast Guard air support for the Grand Strand, has deemed the entire Grand Strand very high risk and now requires air crews to consider laser risk in the area before responding to a distress call. Fuller says, quote, "We've been very fortunate that the green laser incidents haven't yet resulted in tragedy, but every time we send our air crews to the Grand Strand, we're telling them to fly into the equivalent of a storm where it's almost guaranteed they'll be hit. We're simply asking the public to stop putting Coast Guard men and women in senseless and unnecessary danger," end quote. The National Aeronautic Association has certified the June 21, 2012 flight of Gamera II at 49.9 seconds, a new national record for human-powered helicopter flight duration, and submitted flight information to the Federation Aeronautique Internationale for approval as a world record. Gamera II was designed, built, and piloted by students at A. James Clark School of Engineering at the University of Maryland, College Park. Of course, these records are all about winning the American Helicopter Society's Sikorsky Human-Powered Helicopter Competition, which requires that a human-powered helicopter fly for 60 seconds, achieve an altitude of 3 meters at some point during that time, and remain within a 10 square meter area. The prize for meeting all competition requirements is $250,000, offered by the Sikorsky Aircraft Corporation. With its 49.9-second flight, Gamera II has come closer to the flight duration requirement than any other craft. The team will fly again later this month and continue to refine their craft to achieve the Sikorsky competition's 60-second flight and 3-meter altitude requirements. Just this week, the team test flew their craft in the University of Maryland's Comcast Center, using a tether, and stayed aloft for more than 70 seconds. You're watching Airborne. More in a moment, including a report about the American Airlines Pilots Union losing its leader.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds and learning proper crosswind landing techniques. Even today, most crosswind landing skills are learned through trial and error, sometimes with disastrous results. Believe it or not, the most common contributing factor in weather-related accidents each year is crosswinds. The second most common factor is wind gusts. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. It teaches pilots the proper techniques to meet and beat these top 2 causes of weather-related landing accidents. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in challenging crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird X-Wind SE, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or podcast, send us an email to news-fi@aero-news.net. While NASA celebrates the success of the Curiosity rover landing on Mars, another program suffered a setback Thursday when the Morpheus lander prototype crashed and burned only a few seconds after lifting off on its first autonomous test flight. Morpheus is a NASA-designed vehicle that was manufactured and assembled at JSC and Armadillo Aerospace. Morpheus is large enough to carry 1,100 pounds of cargo to the moon. According to the program's blog, Morpheus is a vertical testbed vehicle demonstrating new green propellant propulsion systems and autonomous landing and hazard detection technology. Morpheus had successfully completed 19 tethered test flights before Thursday's first untethered attempt, including one the previous Friday. In a video release, NASA said, quote, "Failures such as these were anticipated prior to the test and are part of the development process for any complex spaceflight hardware," end quote. The Associated Press reports that NASA said that the likely cause of the crash was a component in the GPS navigation system. No one was injured, and the resulting fire was extinguished by Kennedy Space Center fire personnel. Captain David Bates, head of the pilots union at American Airlines, has resigned after the pilots group rejected a proposed tentative agreement. The agreement would have given the pilots pay raises and a 13.5% stake in the new airline. However, USA Today reports that 61% of the pilots voted to reject the contract. Bates had supported the contract, which he described as the best deal available to the pilots given the airline's current financial difficulties. American's parent company, AMR Corporation, is in the process of restructuring under Chapter 11 bankruptcy laws. In a message to union members posted on the APA website, Bates said, quote, "I did not take this action lightly, but based my decision on the conviction that would be best for our union and the pilots we represent. Although I believe that ratifying the tentative agreement would have been the best course for our pilots group, the majority of our pilots signaled their preferences for taking a different path. Given these circumstances, I conclude that continuing to serve as your president was not in the interest of the pilots I've been charged with representing," end quote. The Associated Press reports the union said pilots were concerned over the 6-year length of the agreement, but some observers say the vote had a lot more to do with the frustration felt by the pilots towards management. American's parent company, AMR, has filed a request in bankruptcy court to reject the existing pilot contract and impose terms far less acceptable than those of the now rejected tentative agreement. A court ruling on that request is still pending and could come as early as this Wednesday. An Airbus A319 made a dramatic flight to Antarctica Thursday to evacuate a person in need of medical attention from McMurdo Station. The crew had to wait for a break in the harsh Antarctic winter and land on a runway built of ice during a narrow twilight window during the near 24-hour darkness this time of year. The temperatures Thursday during the operation hovered at negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit. CNN reports that the United States sought assistance from an Australian medical team for the evacuation of the researcher who was not identified. The plane was dispatched from Christchurch, New Zealand, and arrived at the research station early in the afternoon local time. It was on the ground a little more than an hour before departing back to Christchurch. The ice runway, known as Pegasus, is one of only very few runways in Antarctica that can accommodate wheeled aircraft. Antarctica is currently emerging from its 6-month-long night, so there's a period of twilight at midday that could assist pilots in landing on the ice runway. The evacuation flight comes shortly before a regularly scheduled series of late winter flights to prepare for the coming Antarctic research season, which gets underway in October. Visitors to Oshkosh got their first look at the latest offering from Vance Aircraft, and the sporty two-place airplane has appeal for larger pilots. Tom Patton reports.
It was something of a stealth project, but the RV-14 made its first public appearance at AirVenture a couple of weeks ago. And by the time the public got its first look at the new kit-built plane, it had already completed a comprehensive test program. Vance said the goal was to meet or exceed the performance of a 180 horsepower constant-speed RV-7 in an airplane with better comfort, better visibility, longer range, and more payload. The RV-14 is an aerobatic 2-seat side-by-side airplane with a 46-inch wide cabin and a 27-foot wingspan. The wing uses the RV-10 airfoil and slotted flaps. A new cowling surrounds a Lycoming IO-390 producing 210 horsepower, but will also accept the 200 horsepower IO-360. 50 gallons of fuel is carried in two 25-gallon leading-edge tanks. Tall seating and low canopy rails result in superb visibility, even better than in previous RVs. A large baggage compartment behind the seats can hold up to 100 pounds, and the airplane rides on a new leaf spring main gear. Like all other RVs, the RV-14 is built of riveted aluminum. However, the kit incorporates everything Vance has learned in 40 years, so they anticipate that building times should be substantially less than previous kits. Wing kits should be available in September. After that, other airframe kits will be released at regular intervals until the complete airplane is available. There is no word yet on what the finished airplane will cost. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
It's Tuesday, and that means it's time for our Aero Video of the Week. Today, it's a story being played out far too often across our land. A small local airport fighting for its survival. And this one has deep historical roots. It's a moving 15-minute tribute to a small airport and the community it serves. To find this video, go to YouTube and search for A Local Airport Matters. In-flight entertainment on most airlines usually consists of a movie or selection of private music channels. However, Vietnam's VietJet Air recently took a page right out of the promotional manual most often used by the likes of Herb Kelleher or Sir Richard Branson. The Associated Press reports that state-run media reported Vietnam's Civil Aviation Administration fined VietJet Air 20 million dong or 960 American dollars for staging a 3-minute show on August 3rd without receiving official approval. The show in question, which of course was captured on YouTube, featured a bevy of beauty queens dressed in open vests with red bikini tops, dancing in the aisles of a packed airplane while dance music blared from the onboard PA, and of course gleeful male passengers snapping pictures. A company spokesperson not authorized to speak to the media said the show was to celebrate the airline's first flight from Ho Chi Minh City to Nha Trang on the southern coast. They claim that all safety regulations were followed. Privately owned VietJet Air was founded in 2007 and operated its first flight in December. Thanks for watching. That's our program for Tuesday, August 14th. And remember, Airborne is now seen twice weekly on Tuesdays and Fridays here on Aero TV. Quick, concise, and convenient, you're always up to date when you're airborne with Aero TV. I'm Ashley Hale, and we'll see you again this Friday with another edition of Airborne.